I got a taxi with my pal, and it was a gym Christmas party, so the driver was a gym member.
Okay, so
and he had his friend in the car with him, and I know that they're from the same area as me, so I asked them if they were going to Clondalkin, could I get a lift with them? And they had no objection, they gave me a lift.
So what happened then when you pulled in?
We came into the estate and my friend noticed that he was in the garden, and she said, there's Jonathan. And I looked up and I could see him running down the garden, and I said to the driver, lock the doors, but I don't think he realised the seriousness of what was about to happen. But I knew by his face that he was angry. He had no expression. He was almost like emotionless, but running, and his fists were clenched. And I said, "Oh my God, lock the door, lock the door!" But he just drove. He didn't lock the door, so he drove off. And Jonathan mounted the boot of the bonnet of the taxi. He punched the windscreen a couple of times so hard that it smashed, and forced the driver then to stop. So he stopped. Jonathan jumped off the window, pulled the car door open, and ripped the driver from the car. But it was an automatic car, so the car kept driving with myself and my friend in the back, and the taxi man's passenger in the front. But the guy in the front jumped out and tried to help the driver, and we called the guards from the taxi, and the taxi drove up onto a field at the back of my house and mounted a path and hit a tree. And we got out. By the time we got down, they had restrained him and they were lying on him. They had his hands pinned behind his back, and he was flat down on the ground. And I was saying, what is going on? What happened? Why did you do that? And he was saying, which one of them were you with? And I was saying, neither of them. Why are you doing this? Everybody just calm down. Everybody relax. Yeah. And when I said everybody relax, then the two lads kind of took a step back and stepped away from him. And he just made a beeline for me and punched me straight in the face. And he busted my eye here, and I fell backwards and my head hit the ground and I lost consciousness. The last thing I seen was him walking towards me, and then I could feel this heat running down my face, and I knew it was blood. I kind of thought, oh my God, I'm bleeding, I'm dying. I couldn't open my eyes and I couldn't move.
And where was he at this point?
He was assaulting my friend, and I remember waking up and thinking, oh my God, I could hear what was happening in the background, and I was trying to say to myself, breathe, keep breathing, because you're going to die. And I was trying to take deep breaths, and then I started to come around a little bit, and I thought to myself, will I just stay here for a minute and just see does he go, or will I get up and help her?
You've mentioned one punch to your face.
Yeah.
What had he done? What else had he done?
Well, when I got eventually, I could hear her screaming, and I couldn't leave her then. I kind of thought, no, I have to help her. So I sat up and rolled myself around and tried to crawl over to her. And she was in a ball on the ground at this point, and he saw that I was moving again, and he just walked up to me really casually, gave me a full force boot in the face, and I flew backwards again, and I was lying on my back, and he grabbed me by the hair and he held my head up, and he was standing over me, each leg either side of me, and punching and punching and punching me in the face. And I was saying to him, please stop, you're going to kill me. Stop, please stop. But he wouldn't stop. And then he kicked me a couple of times. This was all off camera. And then the girl that was with me, she tried to run again. So it was like he was hunting anything that moved. If you moved, he'd chase you and he'd hit you till he couldn't move again. So he chased after her, and I was sitting on the side of the path trying to get the hair, my hair was just all stuck to the blood, and I was trying to figure out where I was on the road even. And I sat there and I was trying to catch my breath because I couldn't really, I was in shock, that kind of way. And I should have probably ran at that stage. When you're in shock, I just sat there, and he came back and he stood over me again and punched and kicked me, I'd say about 15 times. Just
so people at home know what happened, you had your face fractured?
Yeah.
Eye socket fractured, nose broken, skull fractured,
yeah,
cheekbones shattered, and look, I saw the CCTV footage once, and I'll never want to see it again because it's just so disgusting and stomach churning. And you survived. Mm-hmm. You crawled into a neighbour's house.
Yeah, when he made a break for the other girl, I was unconscious at this point, but I woke up again, and I crawled halfway, and then I started to run because I could hear him calling me, and I ran and I banged on my neighbour's door, I could hear a little bit of activity in the house, but their spotlight had come on, and I knew he was on his way back, and he was going to see that I was, wherever the spotlight was, that's where I was. And I lay down on the ground and I wrapped my arms around the wheel of the car and I put my head under the car, because I just felt like my face was burning and my eyes, I could barely see through my eyes. They were so badly swollen and I was covered in blood, and my head had every blow, apart from he kicked me between the legs twice when I was crawling backwards, and every other blow was a blow to the head. So I really felt like if he punched or kicked me in the head again, that could be the last punch or kick I was going to be able to take. So I was conscious that my head was struggling, and I put my head under the car, and then I heard the key turn in the barrel, and I just like dived from the car was here and the hall door was here, and I just literally dived through the in between the neighbour and the wall. And I remember my neighbour saying to his wife, "There's a girl here and she's hurt," and she came down the stairs and she saw my dress, and I had put up a photograph that night of what I was wearing, and she said to him, "That's Jessica." And they didn't know it was me, because my face was so badly damaged and I was covered in blood. And
let me ask you, I'm going to jump a little, because the vivid nature of the way you've described it,
yeah.
I feel like you took us there to see it. And you went to court.
Yeah. And
the man who did those things to you got a sentence of how long?
22 months was the amount of time that he served. It was a 3.5-year sentence with a year suspended.